We've been talking a lot about Draymond Green, and so there's a number of questions on the table. One of them being, for all of those of you out there who are so sick of Draymond, I'm done with Draymond. He's overstayed his welcome. It's not worth it anymore. What's your solution? And going back to where I originally sort of started this, what is so offensive? What is so offensive? Forget the Jordan Poole thing, because that's offensive. But on the court, all of the things that he's done, are you really, truly that bothered, that offended by these things? I mean, we sit here and make fun of regular season basketball in November. But now, apparently, from what I'm being told, these next 5 games, oh my God, they are the key to the entire next 4 years of Warrior results. How dare Draymond leave these 5 games? I don't know how the Warriors will recover. I don't know. I thought we had all agreed the NBA doesn't even start till Christmas Day.
I don't know about that. And I've never made fun of the regular season, especially after last year, where we all talk about the start to the year, which resulted in them having to fight all year long. And when you have an older team, a veteran team, you would love to have a cushion, and you had one at 6-2, and that cushion now at 6-6 is gone. And if Draymond's out for 5 and you go 1-4 in those games, now you're 7-11 when he comes back, and it's a little bit of an uphill climb in a very competitive Western Conference. So it's not like every game is all or nothing like it is in the NFL. I'm not going to pretend that's the case. But when you start to look at blocks of games and you've already lost 4 in a row, and Draymond's going to be out for another 5, no Steph tonight, and you're looking at, a little bit of a tough slate here with 2 Oklahoma Cities and no Draymond. San Antonio, you should still be able to beat. Sacramento is always difficult.
I don't even know
Phoenix
if
is going to be tough.
Are there any shoulds with this roster? There's no Steph and
guess
no
you're
Dre.
right.
I'm like, you could lose to anybody.
But that is maybe more to my point of, why this is a bigger deal than it would have been in a year where you had KD. Or if you were 27-9 and this happens, okay, fine, Draymond, take 5 games off. Doesn't matter. But I'm fighting for my life right now.
They're not going. They're not. But I feel like there's this resignation that they're just going to go 0-5 now. They're not going 0-5.
I would put them at 2-3 over the next 5.
What are we looking at here?
2 OKCs.
I know 2 OKCs.
That's a split.
Then there's a Houston, right?
That's a win. San Antonio and Phoenix. Those are your 5.
And Phoenix is there. That's
a loss.
That's the one road game out of the whole group?
Yeah.
So OKC, home to Houston, at Phoenix, and then home to San Antonio. They get 3 of those.
You should, without Draymond.
I mean, Steph may be back Saturday. Yeah, I don't know, but he might.
According to the reports I've read and my sources,
okay,
he's going to probably be back for the Houston game.
Maybe, yeah. Even still, then I think you can get one of the OKC ones without him. I think you can get the Houston one. I think you can get the San Antonio.
OKC scares me without Steph.
Absolutely.
Because they're 125 points walking off the bus.
Right, but remember what Ramona said to us about the matchup thing?
Momo.
Like, I know that it's 4-game losing streak, but she's like of these losses, there have been 5 of them in the last week and a half. 4 of them are against Cleveland and Minnesota, potentially the 2 tallest teams in the league. And is that an excuse? We'll find out. Because the losses are all against those 2 teams and a road trip to Denver. Those aren't like embarrassing losses, especially the other night when the whole big 3 was out.
Yeah.
I don't think that this 4-game losing streak is the disaster that it's being made out to be, and I don't think the Warriors are automatically now going to make it a 9-game losing streak because Draymond misses the next 5. Let's go to Randy in the city. Hey, Randy, you're on with Willie and Dibby.
Hey, what's up, man?
Randy.
Hey, I wanted to say, first, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We got you.
Okay. Yeah, first I wanted to say, quest for anything is, I think that's a jinx. So we've been quest for 6, quest for 5. We've been 5-0, and then since we had the quest, it's like we haven't won since. and then Warriors do everything the Niners do. So gold-blooded, we are that. But Quest for 5 was bad.
Yeah, Randy, but, on this show, Quest is just Dibs' son.
Yeah.
So we don't worry about those mottos.
All right. But Draymond, man, I'm with Draymond. You feel me? I mean, Draymond's a heartbeat. You feel me? I mean, without Draymond, I think where will we be? You feel me? He the heart. You feel me? But he's been this for 12 years. I mean, we dealt with him. I feel like we need some fire in our, you know what. But people are cold. You know, the height is not on our side. The youth is not on our side. The consistent youth is not on our side. And, like, you feel me? I feel like we need more haters. You feel me? Like, before we had who we had? We had Memphis. You feel me? Where they at now? You feel me? But, shoot, Shaq don't even want us. I mean, the games that Draymond got kicked out of, it was like, they're contenders. You know, a lot of them we're going to see later on.
Randy, I'm totally with you, and thank you, Randy. Like, this is the way that I would sort of say it, and you tell me if I'm able to get this across without sounding like I'm excusing all bad behavior. I'm not excusing it. I wish Draymond wouldn't get himself suspended. I wish he had let go of Rudy a little bit earlier or whatever. I still want him to go, right? Go pick up for Clay. Go do your thing. Would I love to see him go at it with a little bit more of a level head? Sure, but he didn't. I've always accepted who Draymond is, so it's not to excuse anything, but it's to say maybe furthering the point that many have said, which is the good outweighs the bad. Take that a step further. I just don't think you can separate the two. I think that if you like what Draymond has done at any point in his Warriors career, and we'd all say yes to that. If you like that, and if you agree that there's value there, then you have to understand, in my opinion, that what has made him that player also leads to this, that he is someone who rides the line. He is someone who pushes the narrative and the envelope and somebody who does have to find sort of something that's deep down in his gut in order to succeed at his level, because he's not someone who can walk on the court like Giannis and be like, so here's the deal. I'm better at basketball than all of you, and so now I'm going to make $50 million a year. He's not that. He's a scrapper, and he's made a whole career out of outthinking people and using more effort. And so if that's who you are, I think you're going to get some of these things. And outside of punching Jordan Poole, I don't really find anything that's all that crazy. Like, it's all that bad. It just doesn't offend me that way.
I guess. And, you know, I think the one thing you said at the top of that is the most true part of all this, which is you can't separate the good from the bad because it's Draymond Green. And so that's where I've become much more resigned in terms of being a fan of this team and by proxy being a fan of his because I'm a fan of the team. You have to take the good with the bad, which means you can be critical when the bad costs him and costs you 5 games of having the smartest player on your team and a two-way threat and a great defender and all the rest of it. But you do get to a point where the good no longer outweighs the bad. And when you reach that point, then you have to make a decision. And I think that the organization has decided that whenever that point comes, they're going to have to deal with it unless they decide that they want to trade him at some juncture.
Do you think we're there?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. But I do think that that day is coming because I agree with Steiny to the extent that his skills, as all 34-year-olds will do, especially physical players like that, his skills are diminishing. And his ability to be the player that he once was is eroding. Now, how fast is that happening? I don't think it's happening as fast as other people would think. But the more his skills erode, the one thing that has not diminished is his ability to get technical fouls, his ability to commit flagrants, get ejected, and get suspended. That part of his game has not eroded at all. So as that continues, as that balancing act continues to weigh more onto the negative, that's when we have a real discussion to have.
Jimbo on YouTube, who is one of our very faithful listeners, says Draymond, and this is in all caps, so I think Jimbo's really feeling it. Draymond has been enabled his entire life. Get over it. He can play basketball. I bring that up because I would like to very, very firmly disagree that Draymond Green has been enabled his entire life. I have a feeling you mean his entire career in the NBA. That would be a point I would be much more open to listen to. Draymond Green, if you know about his history at all, he very, very much has not been enabled his entire life. This is not someone that grew up with a life of privilege in Michigan. And I think that it's a little unfair to say something like that when the other two stars on the team literally grew up with their dads in the NBA. Okay, those two, and therefore, the reason this is relevant is those two players cannot play the role that Draymond plays on this team. They can't. They're not wired that way.
Right.
They don't have that streak in them. That's important. Like where Draymond came from,
Saginaw,
has a lot to do with who he is.
Of course.
And who he is has a lot to do with how he plays.
And he's never left that, and that's what's fueled him. And that's, honestly, if you want to look at Draymond Green, the basketball player, that's his number one attribute, is the fact that he is willing to do what it takes to win basketball games. Yes, his IQ. Yes, his defensive acumen, his ability to dissect things offensively, the ball handler that he's become. He's an incredible passer, but his number one separation skill, to me, is his competitiveness and his desire to win. So it's very difficult to cleave that from the negative part of Draymond because those things are intertwined. His ultra competitiveness spills over into berating the officials and getting texts. His aggressiveness spills into him jumping to his teammates' defense and choking out an opponent. His competitiveness bleeds into him flail kicking Steven Adams and punching LeBron in the groin. So all of that, there's so much crossover between his positives and his negatives that you really can't separate the two. I just wonder about the evolution of Draymond as all of his positive skills become less and less and less, and his negative skills, they will not diminish.
Yeah, I'd be so much more bothered by this if he wasn't still playing good basketball. But he is. He is. And there's all kinds of different personalities. Does it push it? Sure. Do you wish you wouldn't get suspended? Of course. Of course. But again, I don't think you get the X's and O's stuff from Draymond if you don't also have this as well. So that's not excusing it. It's just like I've always thought this always comes down to whether you accept this dude for who he is or not. And if you don't, that's fine. You can say that. Although I would argue back, if you say that, you should have a basketball solution for the Warriors. And I think that's very hard to find right now. Before we take another call, a reminder, the kickoff show Sunday is coming. Niners and Bucks, Larry Krueger, Low Neal, 2 hours before the start of the game. Join us at the Hilton Santa Clara for delicious food, great drinks, and it is the best pregame show in the Bay Area by far. Presented by Habas Law. You've been wronged. Habas Law will fight to make it right. Call 1-800-INJURED or visit habaslaw.com. How about Paul in Oakland? Hey, Paul, what's going on? You're on with Willard and Dibs.
Hey, guys, what's happening?
What's up?
Good narratives today. I like the way this thing is kind of spun. I'm kind of a believer that things in life, including basketball, and now we're talking about professional basketball, they're never really as good as you think they are unless you're going down Market Street or down Broadway with a parade. And they're really never as bad as you think they are unless you are currently a Memphis Grizzly, a Houston Rocket, or maybe the dumpster fire of professional franchises, the San Diego, the Los Angeles Clippers. It gets to, I think, the point that you made very, very eloquently, and that is Draymond's Draymond. And if you're gonna move him and get off of him, then the addition by subtraction better be at minimal equivalent, and if not better. And if it isn't minimally equivalent or better, then roll with the dude, know who he is, and you're not going to be a Grizzly, and you're not going to be a Rocket, and you're certainly not going to be a Clipper. Although, let me just say this real quick. I do have respect for the Clippers owner relative to he's doing everything he can to brand his team in L.A. and to get out of an arena that even when you put the floor in and it's red and you turn the lights on, you still see the purple there.
Yeah, Ballmer's cool. Ballmer's cool, but yeah, there's nothing. Paul, thanks. The Clippers could build a new arena and put a bubble around it, and there's still always going to be the Lakers' little brother there. But aside from that, like this is kind of what I'm getting at with Draymond. For all the I'm sick of him or it's not worth it anymore, folks. I don't get to that spot with a player until I'm actually offended by the behavior, and that usually comes off the playing surface. So, for instance, I can't think of a better example in this moment, but I don't even know exactly what happened, and there's plenty of conversation around it with Trevor Bauer. But 2 years ago, the Los Angeles Dodgers franchise and its entire fan base and the players were like, that's going to be a no from us, dog. You out. Like, we don't want you on this team anymore. If we're simply talking about annoyances, but you would all agree that the team would go down in the standings without him, then no matter how annoyed you are, we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. I'm certainly not, like, personally offended by the behavior enough to say I'd rather not have him on the team, even though there'll be a worse team without him. Like, that's I'm nowhere near that, and the Warriors are certainly nowhere near that.
Right, and what he has done in terms of offenses are not to the level of Trevor Bauer. I think Deshaun Watson's a very interesting one in terms of teams that didn't want to bring him in based on what he had allegedly done, according to 30 women, independent of what Deshaun Watson's account of the incidents were, and yet Cleveland signed him. And they gave him guaranteed money, thinking that he was going to help them win. Now he's out for the year with the shoulder injury. That was announced today. So it's going to be a second year now where Cleveland's not going to be able to really utilize him down the stretch. And that's just the way that goes. But that, to me, is interesting in terms of Draymond Green, because what he's done is not criminal. You mentioned it before. Outside of the Jordan Poole incident, it's all been on-court stuff. Flagrants and technicals and ejections and suspensions, but all the while, he's helped you win 4 titles.